Hello and welcome. You're listening to Ending Physician Overwhelm with Dr. Megan Mello. In this podcast, we look at why, as physicians, we often get stuck in feelings of overwhelm, anxiety, and burnout, and how we can break out of toxic thought patterns. My hope is that each episode gives you an opportunity to heal and to get more clear on how you want to show up in your life and your work. And now, let's get started. Hello and welcome back. This is episode 6, Celebrate Yourself for a Change. So this past week marked both Doctors' Day, which is March 30th, as well as National Physicians Week, which is March 25th through the 31st. And it got me to thinking and doing a little research. So Doctors' Day dates back to 1933, but was dedicated as a national holiday in 1991 by George H.W. Bush, despite his hatred of broccoli. And the date was chosen because it marks the anniversary of the first use of ether anesthesia. So maybe the first time that somebody actually had a good experience in surgery because they got to have anesthesia for it. So kind of a strange occurrence there. And interestingly, March 30th is also National Black Forest Cake Day, National Something on a Stick Day, National Triglyceride Day, National Weed Appreciation Day. So Doctors' Day shares a lot of overlap with some other interesting holidays. And then National Physicians Week is something that was created in 2015 by a group called Physicians Working Together. And the idea was really to honor physicians and their working relationships and really celebrate them more broadly than by a single day, particularly as many other professional groups have a week. And why did we only have a day? So I think this was a dedicated group that really wanted to elevate the role of physicians. And thinking about all of this together, there's a lot of comments flying around in doctors' communities about what is being done to celebrate these days and a reflection on sort of what value that conveys to the people receiving it. So in my experience, on these holidays, I've received mugs, scarves. Sometimes there's been pizza in the break room, maybe an email or a card. Often, trinkets that were put on my desk while I was busy working and probably working through lunch and, not really having the experience of being celebrated. And when I reflect back, I really realize how much all of that bothered me, but we have to dive a little deeper. So for me, what was going on with that is that I would be receiving, some trinket, often, something that was kind of mass produced and maybe not something I want, such as a mug that says doctor on it. And I was interpreting this as sort of evidence of what my employer thought about me, how much I was valued. So to have a, sort of mass-produced object left on my desk by someone who's wandering around and putting other objects on other people's desks and not making contact or connection really felt impersonal and invalidating to me. And I don't think that I could have put that together at the time, but it's as though I was making it mean that that's how much they thought of me. They thought, okay, we're going to give you a mug, or really truly the ugliest scarf you've ever seen, or, something like that. And we're going to spend 5 minutes, drafting a generic email that's going to go out to our community of doctors, and that is going to adequately convey what they mean to us. And I think for many of us, that lands on us poorly. But part of the issue is that if we are looking to get validation from something that someone else is doing, but we're having thoughts constantly about how we are not valued, about how we are being treated, for example, or that they don't see what we're really doing, how hard we're working, what it takes to be taking care of our patients and all the things that we do. If those are my thoughts, there really isn't any kind of object that someone could put on my desk that would make me change those thoughts. Even if someone left, I don't know, $1,000 bill or a box of diamonds on my desk, that would be lovely, but that still doesn't change the thoughts that I have about how I am valued by the organization, for example. So it really matters here in this circumstance, what the thoughts are that are crawling around our head and what feelings those thoughts are created. Because if I want to feel valued, then I need to be having thoughts, whether they're intentional or non-intentional, I need to be having thoughts that will help to create that feeling of valued in me. Someone might think the world of me, but if I don't have thoughts that is true, I'm not going to feel that value to me. For example, if it's a person that I can't stand, that I don't respect, they may be valuing me as hard as possible, but I am not going to feel valuable. And that's why it's so important that we do a little work and a little bit of thinking about this concept and what we want to feel and how we need to start thinking. And as I talk about this isn't to dismiss or put all of the responsibility onto ourselves, but simply to say that if I don't feel respected by, say, an organization or a group or my employer or my boss or my manager, then nothing that they give to me is going to give me that feeling unless my thought changes. And, as physicians, we have been conditioned for a very long time to seek external validation. When you were in medical school, when you were in residency, if you weren't performing to someone else's standards, if you weren't getting gold stars, if you weren't doing the right thing, you felt very threatened in terms of your ability to continue on this pathway that was probably really important to you. So regardless of how you entered your training, at some point, that external validation became very critical and felt very necessary to you. And many of us never learned to let that go. And so when we find ourselves in these situations where we feel like we're working our butts off and someone is leaving a mass-produced trinket on our desk, no wonder we get upset, right? We're saying, how dare you leave this piece of crap on my desk that does not signify that I mean anything to you? So what do we do about this? There's a process of trying to start having intentional thoughts that create a better experience for you. And so if we're going to start with the feeling of being valued, right? Of feeling that you are worthy, that you are enough, that the things that you do make a difference in other people's lives, you may need to spend some time actually reflecting on those things. So for example, sometimes in my practice, especially around the holidays, people would bring in, a plate of cookies or a tin of pizzelles was one of my favorite holiday presents that I used to get every year. And, on the surface, this is something a little bit generic that a lot of people, would think to do. They, give plates of cookies or some, kind of sweet to others at a holiday. But, if I chose to step back and think, I'm not a friend or a family member of this person, but I've made an impact on them, and they took the time to prepare something for me and to bring it to me, in this particular, work venue, that, it conveys to me that they value the things that I have done for them, for the work that I have done with them, for the care that I have provided for them. And although, at face value, it may be $3 worth of flour and sugar and butter on a paper plate, if I chose to see that someone valued the service and care that I provided, then I feel valued. And so sometimes we need to do that intentional work of trying to walk backwards through the process to see how can I notice that my impact on others is creating, this positive experience for them, and they feel like they want to do something special for me, even if I don't eat the cookies, right? So think about, for this, this year's Doctor's Day or National Physician Week, if you received a mug, for example, and, perhaps an email or a card and, kind of a generic, thank you for working for us. Instead of being upset and making it mean that they value you the amount of, time and money that it costs to do that, which was fairly minimal, you could choose to think they wanted to do something nice to recognize physicians. And I'm a physician, so this is them, recognizing my work in a small gesture. Maybe you can leave that part out. Just they are trying to do something kind to recognize, my work as a physician. And that may not generate strong feelings of being valued, but it's at least not likely to give you that really unvalued, unworthy feeling that may come when you are making it mean that the dollar amount of the time and materials that went into this gift is what you mean to the organization. I don't want to suggest that we are not valued, that organizations do a good job of showing us our value. I don't want to make it, frankly, about the organizations, the employers at all. I want to make it about you and about me and about how we do the work to be feeling better in our lives, regardless of the things that the other humans do. Because that is really where the work is. Can you imagine any gift that your employer could give you right now or on your worst day that would transform the way that you felt about your employer and working for them? Can you imagine a physical item that they could give to you that would transform the way you feel? If you are feeling, really negatively towards your employer, that you're not valued, that they don't see how hard you're working, that they never adequately compensate you with, time as a reward or with enough money, then I would argue that nothing nothing physical that they could ever give you is going to change that, right? Because the relationship, the thoughts and beliefs that you have about their lack of value for you is not going to be bought with a physical gift, trinket, item. If you feel really positively about your employer, your work situation, how you're treated by others, then likely no gift you are going to be given is going to take that feeling away, right? Because there's already these thoughts and beliefs about how you are valued, how you are cherished. So I know that this is a bit of a silly topic to spend an entire episode on, but these little episodes that happen in our lives where we are using little experiences like this, like someone leaving, it really was the most ugly scarf, I can tell you, and I definitely gave it back. But if we're using these experiences to judge how much we are valued and upheld by people, we are constantly going to be living in a sensation that what we are doing is not valued, that the work that we are putting in is not being adequately recognized. And if we're going to get out of feeling stuck in our feelings of burnout, overwhelm, stress, frustration, irritability, we have to spend a little bit of time on these thoughts and beliefs and trying to get unstuck from these notions that keep us feeling so terribly. And what would happen for you if you could allow gestures, even gestures that you are not very interested in, such as, someone leaving a trinket on your desk as the annual thank you present for working for them? What would it be like if you could stop rolling your eyes, giving it back indignantly, thinking that it's a piece of garbage and making it mean something about their value of you? What if it could just be a completely neutral experience, or even more so, a little moment where you think, they were trying to do something nice for me. I can appreciate that, regardless of what you do with the world's ugliest scarf or the world's ugliest mug or a pizza lunch. Would it make your life better to no longer be bothered by those things and to keep it to a neutral experience, or even a positive one where you can feel gratitude or thankfulness at the gesture of being recognized, even in some small way? Please let me know what you think about this. It's something that I've spent a lot of energy feeling the opposite about. I can tell you all of, like I said, these various ugly trinkets I've been given over the years by my former employer and how it felt each time. But choosing to do the work where I can flip it around is tremendously helpful in how I feel day to day. And I hope that you are able to get some of that feeling as well. Please feel free to leave me a comment at healthierforgood@gmail.com. And I'd love if you would rate, review, subscribe, and share this podcast with other physicians in your life. Have a great rest of your day. Happy belated Doctor's Day and happy belated National Physicians Week. Choose to celebrate yourself however you like. All right, take care. Bye-bye. transition overwhelm. If you learned something today or felt moved, please share this episode with a colleague. You can also learn more about me and my coaching practice by heading over to www.healthierforgood.com. And of course, be sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.